Alright, this is an old Husqvarna 288. It was my main saw from sometime in the late 80s right on through to the early 2000s. Somehow or another it ended up mothballed in my old shop. I was just cleaning out my old shop and there she was. So we took her back to the new place and cleaned her up a little bit. Not sure why it was put away, because we just fueled her up and fired her up and started right up. The one thing that I was missing was a piece of the muffler right there, so I just vented up a piece of stovepipe and tapped it on there until I get a new muffler. No sense in spending good money after bad, because I'm not sure why she was mothballed. She is missing a set of cutting dogs. And other than that, the saw's complete. It's in really pretty good shape, cleaned up pretty nice, and it fired right up for me. Had to do a little work with the off switch, which has always been a problem with these because of how they ran the wires. The flywheel vibrates the cowling that keeps the wires on the outside, and they tend to wear through and cut, and just kind of a design flaw. It takes quite a bit of time, but if you don't completely redo it when you fix it, you're just kind of chasing it forever. Needed one or two new body screws, fitted it up with a couple of ones from a still saw. But she fires right up, and we're going to test out how the cutting goes. Alright, we got a little firewood pile here at the shop, back behind the shop, to heat the shop. It already has been started today. We were running it before, made a few cuts with it, so it shouldn't need to be choked to be started, and I would consider it to still be a warm saw. Let's see how she fires up, how she sounds. Oops. On switch. Well, when I bought this saw, I bought another one just like it, and a Husqvarna 266. Looked exactly like it, but smaller. And I bought them from another tree service back in the late 80s. There wasn't even wear on the bottom of them at the times, and I got them for $200 a piece. It was a bigger company, and he had purchased them, and his guys were afraid of them because at the time this was such a fast saw compared to what they were running. They were running stills, which was still more of a grunt saw than what it is today. Very few people at the time were using Husqvarnas, and a lot of people don't know and didn't know and still don't know that Husqvarna, prior to us finding out chainsaws, was more famous for dirt bikes in the United States. Now we'll bring her back. I think I got a nice piece of sugar maple in the back of the pile we'll cut. It's a 24-inch bar. We'll see if we can find something big enough to sink that thing all the way in and see how she does. Alright, it's a little weedy back here. No sugar maple, but I did find this nice, I'm going to say it's about, it's 28-inch piece of ash. I might not be able to clip that whole thing off without rolling it, and the camera's sitting up on the top of the wood pile. I'm afraid I might knock the camera down, so if she doesn't come off clean, we'll just cut most of the way through and see where we're at. Maybe break it off with a mallet so we can see how straight the cut is. But here we go. Crawling on the wood pile, making a cut. chain that I threw on here hit metal or something prior to going back on this saw. I brushed it up. I could have done a better job, but she cut alright. Still got some nicks and binks in there. The cut isn't as flat as I'd like it to be, and I'm going to attribute that to the chain itself. And then on that whole round, we dipped on the front to make up the 4 inches or so. I don't know if we can see here. Let me get this under the light. There we go. We dipped around with our cut, and on our way back through, we missed a hair. We're off a little bit. Our plane isn't flat, so the chain needs a little work. The frass, that's what you'd expect. It's a little smaller than usual, but it's a really dead, dry, hard ashtray, so it's going to kind of be like cutting locust. Happy with how sharp it is, just not how true it's cutting. The saw in itself has plenty of power. It needs a little adjustment. It's not really quite right there when you start out of the gate off the trigger. It takes a little bit of a stutter step, and then when you lag in, it takes a stutter step again until it really gets rolling and digging in. So we'll work on that. But other than that, for a saw that's been mothballed for at least 15 years, kind of impressed. Husqvarna 288 Lite from sometime in the 80s, couldn't even tell you when. A lot of years on it, a lot of miles, a lot of good running left in it. I'm going to put it on an Alaskan mill, 24-inch mill, and that's the plan for it, because it is well up over 5 cubic inches there. 88 cc's. Good saw.